Hey everyone, it's Kimmy. I am Mama on a Mission. I am a 14-year online reseller on eBay, Poshmark, Depop, and whatnot. The other day I did a video that discussed changes that were happening both on eBay and on Poshmark. I like to do those informative type of videos just to kind of keep us all aware of what is happening on these different platforms. I've been doing this a long time. Change happens. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But we all have to get through it, right? Right. But I really started to think about my Poshmark situation, and it drove me to like hours of reading and researching some of the things going on with Poshmark. So that's why I felt like this is bad. Okay. There's my random thoughts there. That's why I came back on to do another video, and I realized how bad it was for me. I kept thinking all week, I'm like, Poshmark seems slow. I kept looking and I'm like, I don't know what's happening there. But I just kept going on with the week. It's mid-November. It's a Friday, 2025. And I'm like, you know what? I need to look at my Poshmark sales. Let me really look. Here's how bad it is. From Monday to Friday, I've sold one item on Poshmark for $12. In fact, that's so bad. Depop has done better for me in the last like 4.5 days. I'm doing this Friday morning, so that doesn't really include all of Friday, but Depop has sold more than Poshmark has, which almost never happens. And people are gonna be like, well, you don't have good items. Nobody wants your stuff. Well, comparatively, like I said, Poshmark was $12 and one item Monday through Friday morning so far. Abysmal. $12. My eBay has done almost $600. And I cross post, you guys know that, using my Nifty tool. So it's all the same items. So how am I doing $600 on eBay and $12 on Poshmark? And I was like, oh, not good. Something weird is going on. I went down a bunch of holes and researched a bunch of things. I read different forums, comments, went into different groups, and here's what's happening, okay? It's really important that we know about this because now I'm actually concerned about Poshmark, about all these changes and my business. This is how I bring in money for my family. So it's really important that I know what is happening and the seriousness of it, because I stopped cross-posting on Mercari, I don't know, about 9 months ago because I was not getting any sales. But now I'm like, geez, should I have done that? Because something's happening with Poshmark and it doesn't seem to be good. Now, this isn't like super consistent. Poshmark is still getting me sales. Last weekend I did $190 in sales. Weekend, $190. So it's not like, the world's not totally on fire, or my reseller world isn't totally on fire, but something definitely seems to be happening there. Now, one of the things I talked about in the video the other day was that the search has changed on Poshmark, and the sharing part of Poshmark has changed. Now, Poshmark from the very beginning was all about sharing, community, supporting each other, following each other. It's not that way anymore. And I think every one of these random changes that happens with Poshmark, that is becoming more and more apparent. It used to be you had to manually share. Then they went to bulk sharing. I use a tool, which I think is part of their issue. I'm thinking they're trying to get rid of some of that automation part, which is interesting to me, because sharing, that was all Poshmark was about in the beginning. And that's actually why a lot of people didn't go on Poshmark, because they hated the sharing part. They hated the having to follow all these people and go follow 10 new, people all the time. But they changed the search and they changed the sharing, and it seems to really be affecting my business, which is honestly, it is concerning. And I was thinking about this. I don't have any coworkers. So when I have concerns, I kind of go to you guys. Like, you are my coworkers, whether you really are like a reseller, small or big, or if you're a thrifter, or you just enjoy, this kind of content surrounding thrifting and all of those things. I don't have anyone to talk to. My husband gets real tired of listening to me, I can tell you that. So I wanted to pop on and kind of discuss it. Here's some things I found into this deep dive. People are really, really mad about the sharing part. I think they felt like, and I do agree with this, that the sharing part gave you an advantage over people who weren't actively working their closets. So I'm finding a lot of comments from people saying, you know, that's why I went on and shared 3 times a day, because before the search was heavily based on how often you shared. And the whole search was based on that. And of course, other factors, but that was like the main one, was share, share, share. So people are really upset. I mean, I read through all these comments, and people are, I quit. I deleted my Poshmark yesterday. I made all of my items unavailable yesterday. Like, they're serious business about this. Obviously, I talked about the new search feed is now for you. Like, they're coming up with the way that the items are presented to you in the feed. And I can tell you, I looked at my feed several times in the last 24 hours, and they don't have a clue what I would be buying. In fairness, I do think mine is a little bit skewed because I talk a lot about style-based things and brands, and my phone is listening to me. We joked about that on one of my last videos. And so I think mine is skewed, but if I really was looking for an item to purchase, they have no idea what I would be looking for. And honestly, nothing that was coming up in my feed would be anything that I was interested in. I also noticed that I was like, so I'm clearly not selling anything this week on Poshmark. Why? I did go into my likes feed to see how many people were liking my items, and I did feel like there was a lot less than normal. I scrolled through and I looked at the time frames. So it appears my items aren't being seen as much because I'm certainly not getting as many likes as normal. Meaning people like the item, right? And the hitting the like button on Poshmark puts it into a kind of a little envelope of all the things that they like, so they can either go back and maybe make an offer or purchase on it or those types of things. And I would say that is pretty significant because clearly with not as many sales, I'm not getting as many likes. Are my items even coming up in the search feed? I looked for my items the other day. They didn't seem to be coming up in the search feeds. And all of this is very concerning. Like, Poshmark is my second top performing platform, and there's a lot of chaos and a lot of question and confusion around this platform right now that makes me concerned, because it is my second. And people are like, I'm not going to buy there anymore. I'm closing down my stores. This is ridiculous. Here's some other side information. People were also joking that it's called Shein Mark, not Poshmark, Shein, like, Temu Mark. They were joking about because they feel like there's been a huge push since the new owners bought it. A tech company bought Poshmark like 2 years ago, one year ago. And they feel like there's a big push for mass sellers. And they were talking about how there's all these huge companies with like 1 million items for sale, and they feel like it's just becoming flooded with crap. Yikes. And to that extent, I would say Poshmark, a lot of their marketing and their whole basis, their customer base, has been, finding unique items, finding one-of-a-kind items, really fashion forward. When you start putting these mass sellers in here with 750,000 items and half of them are from Temu, then it's just like anything else, right? There's no value in that part of the company. Poshmark, when I first started, it was like you put your good stuff on Poshmark. Like there's a huge fashion forward trend there. I feel like they're really losing that by pushing these huge, giant companies. And I found an article that went into the new company that bought it. I mentioned the other day, it's a tech company. It's not a fashion company. And obviously a lot of the recent changes seem to be surrounded by the tech, changing different aspects of the tech, like your search engines and your algorithms and your feeds. That's all tech related, right? It's not focused on the person, or it's not focused on the product, the items, the brands. That's all like a search engine thing. Naver is the company that bought them for $1.2 billion, by the way. And they are a AI company, basically, is what it comes down to. They own, obviously, several different companies, and they're all AI tech based, which we know the world is going to AI stuff. I'm not on board. I'm not on board on that. I don't understand it. It freaks me out. You seen some of those videos where it's like they somehow make a granny feeding a bear, and you're like, that looked so real to me. I would never know the difference. Whew. AI freaks me out. I'm just going to be honest. I don't understand it. It is, I believe, and obviously this company that bought Poshmark is AI based, and it's making a lot of these changes on Poshmark that seem to be not advantageous for me. And I also find that, kind of interesting. So what else? Like I said, there's a whole bunch of drama and chaos around it. A lot of the smaller sellers are also buyers. I've bought on Poshmark too. There seems to be a lot of frustration. The sharing aspect, there's so many. Just Google it, Poshmark sharing 2025. And there's so many posts about it in different social medias and, Instagram posts and Facebook and Reddit. And there's so many things, and so many people are upset about it. They're upset about the feed happening. Then this morning, supposedly, they added a condition pull down in your items, and we're not sure if, meaning like, is it new with tags? Is it good? Is it poor? Is it fair? You've never really had to put that into your Poshmark information, which is similar to like eBay. You can choose new with tags, excellent, good, fair. They randomly started that. I don't know if I need to go, honestly, right now, I don't know if I need to go into all of my items and update the condition. I don't know if that's something they're going to do, like Poshmark, these AI people who are changing all these things, or not. That just popped up today. They're not really making announcements for some of these changes. The Poshmark sellers, especially us little guys, are just finding out randomly and posting on Facebook and hoping somebody else has an answer. So now there's a condition pull down. Also, I figured this out too. People were talking about the photo ratio. Forever and ever and ever, I've been taking my Poshmark photos in a 1x1 or a square frame, because that's the way that Poshmark has always wanted them for their search tools. It's different. Go on your computer, and people are talking about this too, and go on your computer or laptop or some type of, not your phone, and look at your closet. I'm looking at mine right now, and the new ratio is 3:2. 3 long, 2 wide. And so people are complaining about this. Now, this is random. This has just happened in the last 24 hours. Because all the items that you originally took in a square ratio now look a little different. Like some of my items, I'm looking at a hat right now, look weird because it's half cut off. The edges are cut off, right? So essentially, instead of 3x3 square, you now have a 3x2. It's narrower. That's the ratio. So if you had something that was in the full width of the square shaped photo, now it's cut off. I'm looking at some of my items right now, and some of them, it's fine. It's not going to be a huge deal, but there is a valid, concern that some of your items look disproportioned now. Like some of my shoes, especially if I take a shoe picture from the side, half the shoe doesn't show up now on my closet. Go ahead and check on a computer. So I don't know if it's just desktop based or if they're going to be going to this overall. We don't know because they're not giving us answers half the time anyways. I told you the other day too, they're going to white background photos. They haven't really announced that either. They've kind of they're just mentioning things, or people are asking questions and they're answering them, but they're not really telling all of us. A couple months ago, you guys know I got in trouble because they said I was deleting items too soon. That was another update that they're basically moving away from these automated tools, and they punished me because they thought I was deleting too many items, which honestly, still to this day, I don't believe was true, because I have my settings on Nifty for relisting and delisting very long on Poshmark for this reason. I have them set to 90 days, and their new rule was like, you can't delete or relist within 30 days. You're doing it too often. You can't do all these things. So I still don't even think that was valid. But that's another thing that's happened in the last few months. And now it seems all of a sudden there's this new search, the new sharing, the feed is different. There's now a condition pull down. The photo ratio. People are also even complaining about the shipping, that shipping is now taking too long because they moved. The benefit is it's cheaper. Everyone always complained about it being too expensive, which I never thought it was too expensive, if I'm just being honest. The only case I did was like for people who sell jewelry and stuff. I understand that there wasn't a cheaper option. It wasn't a big deal for me, but they changed it to save a few dollars for the buyer, but now it's Ground Advantage, which is a longer shipping time. So they're complaining about that. I mean, it's just a mess. I'm like, oh my gosh, why? Why do we have to go through this? That should be my thumbnail. So that's it. Obviously, there is some validity here because I shared with you my sales. $12 on Poshmark since Monday. Today's Friday, November 14th, 2025. $12. One item. That's like, what? That's like Mercari level. What is happening? My eBay's done almost $600 in that same time frame and the same exact items. So when I hear it's because no one wants my items. Someone's buying something. I actually have a couple nice items that I have to go ship out after I've now done this 15-minute random rant about Poshmark. You guys come in, let me know what you think. I'm just now genuinely concerned with all these changes. And as a smaller seller, I don't have pallets and pallets of clothes. I don't have 500,000 listings. I'm struggling to get to 2,000 listings. And that's been my goal for a while. It seems like there's a huge push for these big, big sellers, these big companies, mass producers, boutique people. I remember this happening to Etsy. My mom sold on Etsy for a very, very long time, and it used to be very much handmade and craft based. And all of a sudden, I don't know how many years ago it's been now, 5, 7, it's been years and years. Etsy started to allow other types of sellers, and it flooded the market with a bunch of junk. Where Etsy used to be really nice, curated, high quality items from crafters, handmade, people who handmade stuff, like even woodworking, all those things. And it isn't that way anymore. It's still a valid platform. I've thought about posting my vintage items there. But I remember this very thing happened to Etsy. Is everybody got so upset. A bunch of people left, closed their things. And I think it changed the way Etsy was for a long time. Now, is Poshmark just going to become the same as all the other platforms? I don't know. But there's a ton of changes. There's a ton of chaos, and my sales are abysmal. I think someone else actually said that. I wrote that down. Someone said, my sales on Poshmark went from non-existent to absolutely abysmal. Which I'm like, well, what's the difference in those? Maybe 1 to nothing? I guess next week, if I have nothing, that will be virtually non-existent to absolutely abysmal. Because right now, this week, I only have 1 sale. Like I said, I kept refreshing it. I'm like, where are my sales? What is happening? Something weird's going on. And I'm not sure what to do about it. $12 ain't going to cut it. I mean, how am I going to feed my kids on $12? That's not even after fees. I mean, really, after fees, it's like $9. So, not good. You guys put your info. I love hearing your thoughts. Let me know what's happening. All these changes seem overwhelming, and change is overwhelming, but there seems to be a lot going on, and it doesn't seem to be going in a good direction. Does that sound dramified? I'm just saying that's how I'm feeling right now. My coworkers, you guys let me know. I love y'all so much. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.